Hey everybody, Jeff aka GCurse here. I hope you're all having a great day. I have a react video, but before I do that, it's been a while since I released a rather lengthy video, so I figure I'd do a little bit of catching up, see how everybody's doing. I hope you're all doing great. I recently resumed work for this year, and it's going good. It's going good. On my health front, or the health front, whatever, however you want to say it. I'm continuing to try and get better day by day. There's been a few setbacks, but overall, I'm doing pretty good, I guess you could say. I feel better than I did back on August 9th when I was diagnosed with my colitis. I'm doing better then, but there's still days that it's hard for me when I wake up. There's days it's hard when I get to work. But overall, I think I'm doing pretty good right about now. Let's see here. What else is there to really say? So, over the last couple days, couple weeks, I've posted a couple polls, and I thought I would kind of share what there is. Let's do this. There we go. Okay, let's zoom in. So, one of the first polls that I put, or the most recent poll I posted, I was on a lunch break at work and doing the one thing I love to do, which is watch Unsolved Mysteries. And I came across the tragic case. I don't want to say I came across it because it makes it sound like I haven't seen it before. I've seen all of these cases, but I watched the case of, what's his name again? Gordon Collins. Basically, what it was Gordon, his wife, and two of their friends were on a boat in Mexico, off the Mexico coast. They were warned. Basically, there was a storm coming. They either did not hear or they did not understand the warning that was being given to them. Sadly, the boat capsized, and it is believed that all people on the boat, died. However, reports were later circulating from various sources in Mexico that Gordon Collins, that he was actually alive still, that basically he was walking up and down the Mexican coast. It seemed like he had amnesia. To this day, Gordon Collins has never been found. Now, I posted posted a poll. Basically, do you think Gordon Collins is alive? And as of right now, with a total of 3 votes, which I want to thank everybody who has voted, 33% believes that Gordon Collins is alive with amnesia, and then 67% of the voters believe that Gordon died in the boating incident. So I do want to say thank you to the people who have voted in that poll. Next poll we have, ladies and gentlemen, basically it is to determine what the next case is that I'll be covering on Unsolved Mysteries commentary. We still have a little over a week. I'll be recording the next episode of installment of Unsolved Mysteries commentary on the 14th of September, which is a Sunday. Here are your current choices. Number 1, we have the Queen Mary ghost, the ship ghost. Basically, it's a haunted ship. It's actually one of the more beloved cases in the Unsolved Mysteries fandom. I love the case. I love how atmospheric it is. I love the reenactments and everything. Even though we did not rely on green screen and all the fancy doodad CGI and all that, we didn't rely on it that much in the 80s. They were actually able to do some pretty good stuff with the special effects. Up next, we have a case of Dale Kerstetter. Dale basically disappeared. He disappeared while he was at work. It's believed that possibly he could have been responsible for helping steal some platinum prior to his disappearance. After that, we have the case of Don Devereaux, Doug Johnson, and Charles Morgan, which I like to refer to as the Octopus Saga. Basically, an innocent person was killed, and Don Devereaux believes that he was supposed to have been killed. The people that killed the innocent person, they are part of an organization that involves both criminal element and the United States government, and they're called the Octopus. Finally, we have the case of Dave Box, which is one of the most heinous cases I've ever seen on Unsolved Mysteries. Basically, Dave Box worked at a production facility that secretly enriched uranium for nuclear weapons. When it was revealed that possibly Dave Box was going to become a whistleblower, the popular belief is that Dave Box was assassinated because of the fact that he was going to start sharing what he knows. So these are the 4 cases that you can vote on for the next installment of Unsolved Mysteries commentary. And with a total of 4 votes so far, Queen Mary is ahead with 50% of the votes. Dale Kerstetter and Dave Box are both at 25%. So I do want to say thank you to everybody who has taken the time to vote in this poll also. Like I said, this poll is going to go until the 13th of September. So if you want to see a specific case, go ahead and vote on one of these 4, I should say. And depending on whichever one wins, that will be the one I will be doing the next installment of of Unsolved Mysteries commentary on. With that out of the way, here, let's do this. Hold on. There we go. There we go. With that out of the way, it is now time for a GCurse Reacts. Today I have a video that was released a little over a year ago. It was from WatchMojo, and this is the top 30 Unsolved Mysteries episodes that will keep you up at night. I'm going to be covering this entire video because it's a long video. I'm going to be breaking it down into parts. Today, the first part I'll be covering will cover cases 30 to 20. These are all from Unsolved Mysteries, everything from the very beginning of Unsolved Mysteries to the Netflix release of the series. Just for future warning, when it comes to the Netflix series, I only saw one case, and it was about a guy who fell off a roof and landed crashing through another roof. That's the only case I saw. So when they talk about some of these Unsolved Mysteries from Netflix cases, I'm not going to know what they're talking about. But enough about that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the react. Sorry about that. Okay, before we get started, I do want to go on record and say that I am not a fan of some of the titles that they used when it came to the entries, I guess you could say, in this video. I think they should have just basically stayed with the case title, because some of the titles that they use for these entries, to be blunt, are pretty stupid. They're pretty stupid, I'm not going to lie. As a fan of Unsolved Mysteries, I'll hear some of these cases and I cannot help but think that WatchMojo basically tried too hard when it came to titling these entries, when they could have just done what was most, easy for them, which was just title the entry that of whatever the case is that they are covering. So let's actually get to that, shall we? Okay, so 3, 2, 1.
For every mystery, there is someone, somewhere, who knows the truth. Perhaps it's you.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're looking at chilling episodes of Unsolved Mysteries.
Okay, now, just so you know, everything you see in this little introduction here, I don't think everything that they show is actually what they cover. I do not recall this. I may have been here, but I cannot recall. This video is over a year old, and I can't recall exactly everything that they covered. But let's get on with it, shall we?
Mysteries from the original run all the way through the Netflix revival.
Many of the case files and much of the physical evidence has been misplaced or long since discarded.
Number 30, Dreamy Disappearance.
Okay, see, this is one of those cases where I told you that they could have just literally used the person's name, but I'm willing to give them a little bit leeway just due to the whole circumstance of this case. This is basically a woman who had dreams that she was going to be kidnapped, and to me, this reminds me of a case of a girl who was having premonitions where she actually was supposed to have died before she hit 16.
Events are more perplexing than a mysterious, unexplained disappearance. What makes legal secretary Cindy Anderson's case even more bizarre are the events that led up to her 1981 disappearance. Beginning the year before, Cindy started having nightmares of her own abduction.
Where are you taking me?
Oh my god, there's just something about the cheesiness. I think this was the earlier Unsolved Mysteries. I think this was like the first 2 or 3 seasons, but there's just something cheesy about the acting in some of the cases. It's not bad. It was just a product of its time.
Then, shortly after the unsettling dreams began, someone graffitied a message addressed to Cindy on the wall of the shopping center.
This had to have been premeditated, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that somebody went out of their way to spray paint this, this is not just a random coincidence. You know, if nobody worked there was named Cindy, yeah, you could just say chalk it up to somebody vandalizing the property. However, the fact is you actually had a person who worked there named Cindy, who was where her desk or her table was that she sat at was near a window that overlooked this location. It's more than just a coincidence. This was premeditated, ladies and gentlemen.
Where she worked. It was signed GW, but Cindy couldn't think of anyone she knew with those initials.
Unless she actually did know who the person was, but she was actually afraid to say who it was because of reprisal.
This time, it was even larger.
The morning she vanished began like any other, with Cindy working alone in the office. By the time her coworkers arrived, Cindy's...
Okay, if I remember correctly, basically they installed like a little alarm system for Cindy that if she pressed a button, it would actually alert the next door business that something was wrong. And if I remember correctly, I think they said that the alarm was never pressed. So, which means that whoever kidnapped Cindy, Cindy may have known the person.
Car was still out front, but she was gone.
Were Cindy's dreams premonitions of a terrible fate, or were they just a coincidence?
Number 29, Body in Bags.
See, this is one of the ones that I had an issue with, this title here, because I watched this when it first came out, and I do not recall them even mentioning bodies in bags. I may be wrong. They may well hear. We're going to hear it right now, but I don't recall them actually mentioning bodies being in bags or anything. So it kind of makes you wonder, bodies in bags. Why are they calling bodies in bags? Yeah, this is why I simply say that they should just name these entries based on the case itself. So whoever the person is involved, you know.
This disturbing Unsolved Mysteries episode will have you scanning the faces of strangers everywhere you go. After failing to show up for work for 3 days, David Carter's coworkers knew something was wrong. When his family checked his apartment, they were shocked to find an apparent bullet hole in the wall and a dark splotch on the floor.
I walked around.
Okay, if you see a bullet, me being me. So I am a very paranoid person. If I went to a loved one's house, I enter, I see a bullet hole in the wall, I see something that could be dried blood on the floor, I'm going to get the fuck out of there. I'm going to call the police.
There was a hole in the bottom left-hand corner of the closet door.
David had recently started dating a woman named Tammy Williams, but there were signs of trouble in paradise. And in the days after David vanished, Tammy seemed off.
And she showed no concern as to me telling her that he was missing.
When
If she did not show any concern, then it could be, you know, theorized that she may actually know more than what she was claiming.
David's remains were located, police questioned Tammy, but she went on the run before an arrest warrant could be issued.
Call me old-fashioned, but people who run from a simple investigation, they might be a little bit guilty. That's just me, though. That's just me.
It's thought by some that Tammy could have connections helping her evade authorities.
I have faith that somehow, some way, somebody's gonna see Tammy and she's gonna be caught.
Number
Okay, see, that's what I meant. That entire clip we just saw, not once did it mention like bodies and bags. So you originally hear the word bodies and bags, and you think, oh my god, did somebody get cut up? They don't even mention anything. So it's fucking stupid. Let's just be honest. It's stupid. They could have simply just named it after that entry after that guy. Yeah. Here's one of my favorite cases, the Queen Mary Ghost, which I already mentioned in the introduction to this video, that this is one of the cases you can vote on.
28, Queen Mary Ghost Ship. What's more eerie than a haunted ship? Once a luxury
Look at I love the classic footage here. I love the atmosphere that they have, like right here. Oh my god, the atmosphere. It makes you just feel like something could reach out and grab you.
apparitions, ghosts, and spooky encounters on the ship date back to her glory days. Crew members and guests have heard strange sounds, particularly deep within the boat and near the engine.
Black and white ghost. How do you comprehend that you are looking at a black and white ghost? You know, the ghost is either black or white, or I'm losing my vision's going crazy or some shit. I mean, like literally, you see a ghost. How do you fucking comprehend that? You know.
Room and the first-class pool.
I heard giggling, sound of a little girl or a child playing in the area.
At one time, the Queen Mary was the grandest ship on the sea, hosting famous Hollywood stars and royalty. However, she also has a more storied history, full of economic setbacks and tragic accidents. During World War II, the ship was even commissioned as a troop ship and dubbed Grey Ghost. With such a history, is it any wonder some guests report feeling uneasy on board?
If I had the money, I would love to tour the Queen Mary. I would love to go over there and just tour it, see if I could find a ghost. You know, that'd be fucking awesome. Or see a ghost. You can't really find a ghost, but you can see a ghost.
Explanation. The Queen Mary seems to be inhabited by something ethereal that has been seen and heard, but not explained.
Number 27, Missing Witness. This Unsolved Mysteries episode delves into some truly twisted family dynamics. When Lena Chapin vanished in...
Okay, so basically this is one of those mini cases that they're going to talk about throughout the entirety of this whole video from the Netflix launch of Unsolved Mysteries. So I don't know anything about this case. I really can't give you my thoughts. But if you're looking at this image right here, this is actually the same image I used in the background prior to the video starting.
2006, leaving her possessions and young son behind.
What kind of mother would leave her child behind? And I'll be honest, I don't think she actually willingly left her son behind. If a mother really loves her child, I personally think that they would be, that they would fight to the death to keep their child safe. So for a mother just to willingly up and abandon their kid, I don't buy it. I think that something had to have happened to her.
Her mother insisted Lena simply move to Florida. Her sisters were not so sure.
It just seemed crazy. She didn't take any of her clothes. Lena didn't take any of her photo albums.
Lena had recently made a shocking revelation about their mother, Sandy Klemp. Lena's childhood was troubled. Sandy frequently jumped from one relationship to another and relocated the family often. When she married Gary McCullough, her daughters hoped for stability. Unfortunately, the marriage fell apart after Sandy started yet another affair. To add insult to injury, Gary discovered Sandy had also forged checks in his name. Then suddenly, Gary was gone.
And then next.
Seems like if her mother was willing to do stuff like counterfeiting, or not counterfeiting, forging signatures and all that, she's not a good person. Makes you wonder if she could have actually done something to her daughter. Maybe the daughter knew too much and was about to become basically another whistleblower, you know?
Thing I knew of was that Gary went missing.
A few years later, Lena confessed on tape that Sandy murdered him. Did Lena meet the same fate?
Who killed Gary?
Number 26, Lady in the Lake.
Not to be confused with the King Arthur Sword in the Stone series or story. Yeah. Okay, that's a stupid reference. I apologize. Even I can fumble them once in a while.
On a cold, snowy evening after attending a church prayer service, JoAnn Romain walked across the street, navigated a rocky embankment, and disappeared into Lake St. Clair. At least that's what police say happened.
The footprints and the butt prints were seen. It was confirmed immediately by all 3 officers on the scene. They sincerely believe there was a person in the water.
In the days following her disappearance, there were no visible signs of JoAnn in the half-frozen lake, which was shallow. And despite...
Well, the real question is, where the fuck did she go? You got footprints, you got a butt print, apparently, that they said. Did the footprints kind of turn away from the water and go elsewhere? They don't really mention that. They just said that there were footprints and a butt print that led to the water. They didn't mention if the footprints, turned off into a different direction. She had to have gone somewhere, unless she was literally picked up by little green men.
Several Coast Guard searches, her body was not recovered. For JoAnn's children, there was more to the story.
She's not going anywhere near.
Oh, this is the one where she, if I remember correctly, when I saw this over a year ago, this is the one where she ends up in a river down south, I think they said it was.
Near water that she could possibly slip and fall into. That's not her.
Before she went missing, JoAnn had been locked in a contentious 30-year-long inheritance dispute with her family. Did the long-running feud take a deadly turn? Some 2 months later, JoAnn's body was found in the Detroit River.
I was right, it was a river. But the fact is that if she was in a contention for some sort of inheritance, money can make people do a lot of evil things. Maybe what it was the family, the family that was also let's start that again. Let's say that the inheritance was supposed to be split amongst, let's say, 5 people. People get less money if it's split among 5 people than it is 4. Maybe 4, for the other 4 people, basically. Let's say that maybe they decided, you know what, we can get a little bit more if she isn't part of it. And that could have actually led to this very dark outcome for this lady.
A full 30 miles downstream from where she supposedly entered the water.
I want justice for JoAnn.
So the question is, how did she go from a lake and end up into a river?
That's the bottom line.
Number 25, Up in Smoke.
Oh, this is one of my favorite cases because it deals with something that a lot of people it seems so unrealistic. Your body actually turns against itself and catches fire. That's what this case is about. It should have been just called spontaneous human combustion, but they had to be artsy with it. They had to go with Up in Smoke. What is more scary than you having a normal Sunday morning, for example, with your loved one, and all of a sudden you start catching fire? Imagine being up in the early or late 80s, early 90s. It's like 9 p.m. You're watching Unsolved Mysteries on it was on NBC. I think it was also on CBS before. I may be wrong about that. But it's late at night and all of a sudden you see a person catch fire. How fucking freaky is that?
Anyone who grew up terrified of spontaneous human combustion can probably blame Unsolved Mysteries. The infamous Up in Smoke episode convinced an entire generation they could burst into flames at any given moment.
Kendall was confronted by a ghastly sight. Fire had reduced his father to a scattering of ashes.
While other episodes had you losing sleep over mysterious disappearances or grisly unsolved homicides, this one fueled nightmares of a different kind. According to one survivor, Kay Fletcher, as she prepared coffee one morning, smoke began billowing from her back.
Like I said, one morning you're going to have coffee with your husband or your wife, and all of a sudden they're starting to catch fire. Now you know why I wear like sleeveless shirts and stuff. That way I risk having a lot less flammable stuff on me.
Mike?
The Fletchers say that smoke suddenly began to billow from Kay's body.
Although she and her husband searched, they could not determine what could have started the fire. While Kay lived to tell her tale, George Mott and Irving Bentley were less fortunate. Both perished in intense, unexplained house fires.
Yeah, this guy, I think this was Bentley, possibly. I think that's what his name was. He caught fire, and the poor guy fell through the fucking floor. He fell through the floor into the basement. The poor guy went to use the bathroom. He ended up becoming a crispy critter and fell through the fucking floor. And people say I'm paranoid. This shit actually happens.
Is there a more rational explanation, or were these actual cases of spontaneous human combustion?
When I got to the bottom of the steps, there was a pile of ashes on the floor.
Number 24, Miraculous Escape. In 1970.
See, this is, oh my god, this goddamn title, the title of this, Miraculous Escape. Yes, it is a good thing that she survived. But they could literally just call this the Connecticut Valley serial killer, if I remember correctly. It was held in the Connecticut Valley area. But they have to go through with these weird fucking names, and I just don't like it. I don't like it.
78, a string of murders began in the Connecticut River Valley area
Connecticut River Valley, sorry.
near the New Hampshire and Connecticut border.
Bernice Courtemanche sets off for her boyfriend's house.
Here is my good deed for the year. Ladies and gentlemen, never let your kids hitchhike. It always ends bad. It's never safe to hitchhike, ladies and gentlemen.
She is never heard from again.
The creepiest part about this Unsolved Mysteries segment is that it first aired in 1991, but to this day, no one has ever been arrested in connection to the killings. While a few promising suspects have emerged over time, no one has been identified as the elusive Connecticut River Valley killer.
With no witnesses and little physical evidence, investigators were at a standstill.
One woman is believed to have narrowly escaped his clutches in the summer of 1988. Jane Borowski stopped at a convenience store around midnight to buy a
When I watched this case back when it debuted, I think this was in, they said it was in the early 90s. I thought it was late 80s, but anyway. The actor here that you see in the flannel shirt, I thought that was a young Ted Lithgow or Tim. Oh God, what's his name? Hold on, I gotta get his name. I was actually thinking about it as I was getting ready to record this. What's it? Oh, John Lithgow. Sorry, John Lithgow from the famous movie Harry and the Hendersons. It was also on Third Rock from the Sun. I thought this actor was a very young John Lithgow when I first saw him, because I remember watching Harry and the Hendersons, and I'm like, isn't that the guy who was in the movie?
soft drink from a vending machine. Suddenly, she was under attack. Despite suffering several injuries, Jane survived the harrowing ordeal.
See? He looks like a fucking young John Lithgow.
He just looked at me and just kept driving.
Number 23, Ready Teller Robbery.
Why? Who the fuck refers to an ATM as a ready teller? I really think sometimes that WatchMojo uses like AI to generate some of these titles, you know, and this is an AI generated title, because I refuse to believe, fucking refuse to believe that anybody worth their weight in money refers to an ATM as a ready teller. I refuse to think that that is possible. They literally could have just referred to this case as the case of Matthew Chase. Basically, Matthew Chase he had to make it was his choice, I guess you could say. He decided to make the poor choice of going to an ATM late at night, and the poor guy was robbed and ultimately killed.
This episode will have you thinking twice before using an ATM at night. Matthew Chase set out to deposit his paycheck at a nearby ATM around midnight. He never returned.
5 months later, his...
Okay, one thing I do want to say, it drives me nuts when they say episode. This was not an episode. This is a case. When they say this episode will make you stay up at night, This is a case. There's a fucking difference. Episode is more in line with what Netflix does. This was a case. When they say that this was an episode, they make it literally sound like that this case took up the whole hour. It did not. This is a case. This is not a fucking episode. It drives me nuts. I don't even know why they refer to the title of this video, Top 30 Unsolved Mysteries Episodes. These are cases. Top 30 Unsolved Mysteries cases that would keep you up at night, not fucking episodes.
Friends and family are still searching for him.
By tracking the activity on his bank card, investigators learned of several.
Here's the ironic part, ladies and gentlemen. Matthew Chase was killed by a gangbanger. That gangbanger ended up also getting killed in other gang business. Live by the sword, die by the sword is the lesson here, ladies and gentlemen.
At the branch, the person standing next to Matt was somewhat shorter, somewhat stockier.
Police speculate the other man abducted Matthew when he deposited his paycheck. Eventually, $400 was successfully taken from Matthew's account. Sadly,
I am the type of person that when I go to the grocery store or some store or anywhere that I can use my debit card or my credit cards or whatever, I value my privacy. So if I am there and somebody starts getting close to me, I will literally look and go, can I fucking help you? Can I help you? Is there a reason why you should be further back there, but instead you're right next to me to the point where you can actually see me pressing the specific buttons? Why the fuck are you getting this close to me? Get the fuck back, That's how protective of my personal space that I am.
Matthew's remains were later discovered in a ravine. Authorities believe he was robbed and killed by a gang member named David Meza. Number 22, dial A4.
Once again, the title of this case really just pissed me off. It sounds like that they were trying to go for some artsy Alfred Hitchcock type title here, when they could have literally just named it the case itself. That's all I'm going to say.
Abduction. The 1991 abduction and near.
This case, I feel, is like one of the most heartbreaking cases, because you literally had a guy who went to try and save his girlfriend or fiance at the time. I can't recall what it was. And he was just so close to actually saving her, but ultimately his car broke down because the transmission went out. I feel bad for the guy. He was so close, and the last thing he saw was literally the truck speeding off into the distance.
And rushed for the payphone. On the way, he saw the truck Angela had described. Angie! He threw his car into reverse and pursued the truck. Tragically, he severely damaged his car's transmission in the process, and it eventually gave out. The truck sped off into the night.
The beginning's the hardest, because you were close enough to get him, but she just didn't get the job done.
Number 21, getaway photo. Nothing was unusual about the morning of.
Okay, here we have another case. Now this one, it isn't so much the name of the case is bad, because it does actually involve a photo. The issue is that they refer to it as getaway photo, and it has me confused with another case that was on Unsolved Mysteries. I cannot recall what it was, but it involved a bank robbery. And as bank robbers were fleeing in their vehicle, they're going one way down a street. A car that had a news reporter. She was heading towards the area where the robbery was. She saw the robbers in the vehicle heading towards her. Well, as her car was passing their car, she actually raised up her camera and she was able to take one photo of the people in the car. When I saw this title of Getaway Photo when this video first came out last year, I thought they were going to be talking about that case. This case is something a whole lot different.
Typical route, but otherwise, there were few clues in the case.
She was being followed by a 1954 light-colored Ford pickup truck with a camper attached.
Almost a year later, someone discovered an unsettling photo in a Florida gas station parking lot. The now notorious picture has divided experts and amateur sleuths for decades, with some claiming it shows Tara Calico and another missing person, Michael Henley, in the back of a van.
It appeared to have been taken inside a white van. The woman took the picture to the police.
Okay, now just so everybody knows, this is actually one of the cases that is no longer, here, let's do this. That is no longer being profiled on Unsolved Mysteries, YouTube page. If you are curious, you can actually find the Tara Calico case. Let's see here. Tara, oh, sorry. Hold on, I'm not even right. Okay, search box, sorry. You can actually find it on YouTube. They delisted the it was never uploaded. That's what I'm trying to say. It was never uploaded to the Unsolved Mysteries YouTube page or YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it. It's part of Film Rise. But so basically, you can actually find it via third-party uploaders. So if you're curious about the Tara Calico case, it's right here. Okay, so let's do this. Get back to the case.
Others claim it's fake. There were no significant developments in Tara's case until 2023, when authorities announced they had enough evidence to pursue charges. No further details were released.
We, as the investigator, believes we have an answer. We believe we know what occurred.
Number 20. A salon owner goes missing in 13 minutes.
Okay, here's another case that had me a little bit confused. A salon owner goes missing in 13 minutes. Now, this reminded me of another case. I think it's called, the lady's name was Dana Scatterfield. Let's see here. Okay. There we go. When I saw that title, originally made me think of the Dana Scatterfield case. Basically, Dana owned and operated her own beauty salon, and she ended up getting killed. I thought they were talking about this case, but this is a whole different case. I think this is a case from the Netflix release of Unsolved Mysteries.
Some fans are split on the 2020 Netflix reboot of Unsolved Mysteries, a much more serious-minded and true crime-focused take on the classic spooky series. This case seems to garner universal interest from viewers, specifically the death of Georgia salon owner Patrice Endres.
When the police took me to my mother's hair salon, there was detectives and, crime scene investigators, and there were...
Now, to those who are kind of curious, like, where do I stand on the Netflix release of Unsolved Mysteries? I'll be honest, it's not really for me. But then again, it's because I grew up in the 80s and the 90s with the original Unsolved Mysteries. The original's always going to be the best. I never really liked it, but people liked original Coke compared to new Coke. People like Transformers Generation 1 to what came out, now. People are going to like the original more than what the new product is because they grew up with the original.
Going in and out. And then they said, yeah, she's missing.
Police claimed there was only a 13-minute window within which Endres could have been abducted from her business, and her killer has never been found, even though remains were found relatively close to the salon more than a year later. The kicker here is how guilty her husband Rob comes across in the episode, and how much of an outlier it is compared to the stoic nature of the season's presentation on the whole.
I have no comment for people who think that I killed Patrice because I don't talk to those people. Because I know I didn't. Patrice knows I didn't, and it's physically impossible, time-wise, for me to have been involved in it.
Okay, so that was just basically part 1 of 3. This React covered cases number 30 to 20. Next time when I resume, I will be covering cases 19 to 11, I think it is. So, yeah, basically, that's it. I just wanted to give you, do a little bit of a react. when it came to this video, because some of these cases are interesting. Some of them could have been titled differently, but it's just something I want to give you my thoughts on. So I guess that's it. I will see you next time for part 2 of this overall react. This is Jeff Miller. Wishing you all a great day. Stay safe, everybody. Peace out.